So I think a good night out, it's got to be all your mates out on the town, and you know, I'm one for a few drinks. So you've got to start it off right, get a few good drinks in.
Yeah, start your pre-gaming.
Exactly.
Get that. Get a few shots in.
Yeah.
Sambuca.
Tequila.
Do the whole like salt thing, the whole suck the lemon. Like, got to do it proper. And then about 4 bottles of prosecco.
Oh my god!
Before you then leave. That's what I've got to do anyway. If I ain't going nowhere.
I'm not gonna lie, yeah, the best nights for me involve a pre's, a night out and an afters. I like doing the whole start to the finish.
You got to have the little naff meal afterwards, you know, like huge kebab or something. You got to
See, I don't...
Oh, come on, what?
See, I'm not a foodie, I don't know.
You're joking.
No, I'm not a night out foodie and I don't know why. I never go for the chips or kebab or anything.
And then straight to bed.
Yeah, do you know what? This is
It's probably better for yourself because I'm usually quite violently ill the next day. With
part of it.
yeah,
Still, isn't it?
the cheesy chips in and out.
Are you a hangover person? Do you all get really bad hangovers?
I am ill for like 2 days.
Yeah.
I can't even move. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Most of the time, yeah. Vomiting's not too bad, but sometimes pretty. On the extreme times where you can't remember, it gets pretty damn bad.
And so if you had to pick, like, what kind of night out do you prefer? Do you just like a few drinks, like classy, or do you drink until you're on the floor and you're getting dragged home?
If it's with your mates, I think you got to go for it, haven't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I always find? You know when it gets to your birthday and you're like, right, I'm just going to get really drunk, live my life, and then you panic so much about your birthday that you end up being the most sober person the whole night through.
See, last year I was in crutches for my birthday. Yeah, I fell down a hill and knocked myself out and like dislocated my knee and yeah, so I was on crutches. I mean, I was on a lot of painkillers, but I still drank. I don't remember a lot. I don't remember a lot whatsoever. I remember starting a fight with someone, that was it. And that's literally what I remember.
Happy birthday.
God.
It was amazing.
I think like when I first moved to London, my idea of like an amazing night out was like, you know, Mayfair clubs where, you know, like girls can drink for free and stuff. And I went and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever experienced. Oh my God, how is this real? And then like after about half a year, I got so bored. And now like my favorite kind of night out is like kind of student-y night, cheap drinks, good music, good vibes. Like I prefer bars as well over clubs, actually.
Yeah, bars.
Yeah, I think it's so fun.
Yeah, exactly, of course.
I love the proper seedy, like back alley clubs. They're the best. Not seedy, like. You know,
It's getting dark now.
that no one knows about. They're like big dirty and a bit grubby.
Yeah.
Best kinds. I mean, I'm actually on the floor. I don't even know what's on the floor, but I mean.
Yeah, my favourite one's like in Dalston. It's just like in a back street, and nothing else is open on the road apart from this one bar, and it's the most fun place ever.
Is it not? Oh, is it not Riff Raff?
No, it's all the Riff Raff. I love it. Yeah, a bit of everyone. It's different every time. Everyone, yeah, and they serve pizza there and stuff.
What do you want? You can literally have a slice of pizza and a shot all together. It's like, it's like tag team food. Like,
Oh my God, and so. I don't know, when, like, compared to being a student at uni and doing, like, student nights out, like, would you go to the, like, student union events that they put on, or did you always prefer to go out and do your own kind of...
That, to me, was a little bit too cringy of a level, like, the kind of, like, I rated it somewhat like the sort of, like, you know, going out, golfers' night out and things like that, but it's a little bit, it's too much for me, it's too much for me.
Yeah, because I'm still at uni and I don't go to these like events. I'd rather obviously go out with my mate.
I'm too basic, just have a drink with my mates, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
didn't even do uni.
Did you know?
No, it wasn't for me. I preferred more creative.
Did you ever go on a uni night out? Did you ever join any of your friends?
It was in Roehampton.
Oh, great.
So we went to like Fez and stuff, and I don't remember a great deal from that either. Like, but I used to do them all and go to like the winter balls and stuff and do all that. It wasn't a problem. But no, uni wasn't for me.
So you like the nights you can't remember?
Until you look at Snapchat and Instagram stories, the next day you're like, oh my God, get rid of that before anyone sees it.
How do you know you like them? How do you know you like nights you can't remember?
Well, I see the evidence on someone else's phone, and I'm just like, is that me? Like, I don't do that normally, that ain't me. But clearly, someone, like, you know, another person takes over and I've had a tequila shot of me.
It's like an inner demon in you.
Literally, honestly is. Like,
Everyone has that like one drink that gets them crazy, don't they?
Yeah.
What's your drink? What would be your one drink that puts you under?
It has to be tequila. I'll go
Tequila,
mental.
that's the
I'll
night
go
drink.
mental.
no, it tastes like water for me.
I
Mine's
can't touch
Bad, I'll go
sambuca.
mental.
Really?
I'll be
Make you
absinthe.
crazy.
Devil.
Absinthe for me, love it.
Absinthe.
Green Fairy, that's me.
I would say that because it's varying degrees of realness. You know, Kevin Hart with this sort of homophobic tweets from 10 plus years ago, I think they're quite easily forgivable because, you know, he put out a massive statement. People change. You know, 10 years is a long time. That's, you know, almost half my life. It's almost like incomprehensible to people, isn't it? If you think like 10 years ago, if you said something, if someone stood you to what you said 10 years ago and you'd completely changed, it's insane, really. Especially something that's so throwaway as a tweet. Yeah. Just to tweet a few things in a, you know, he's a comedian. They have a thicker shell for these types of things, and it's that.
I think in general as well, in regards to the tweets, like there are a lot of things that probably we even said back in the day that we would never say now, and there are things that your parents tell you they used to say, and you'll be like shocked, and you I can't believe you would say that. But then we're starting to experience that ourselves now.
There's probably stuff that you'll say now that in 10 years' time you'll be like, what am I doing saying that? Yeah. Because it will have changed, culture will have changed, everything will have changed, and you know, whether it's wrong or not, or it's just simply a cultural change, I think we can be forgiving in that sense because it's just. It was just a series of tweets because it was a whole thing where he couldn't present a show because of these tweets.
When the Oscar, innit? The Oscar, he was meant to be the presenter. Present an award.
An award show. Yeah, and it was, you know, it was totally boycotted, and I don't know if it was fair, but I guess, you know, he pulled out in the end, so it was right for him, and he apologised. So in Kevin Hart's sense, I think it's forgivable, but when you get to sort of the Rkelly. The Kevin Spacey.
Like, I'm not going to lie, I don't enjoy listening to Bump and Grind anymore.
No,
especially when you consider all the words in it and how true to his life it is. It's almost, it's a bit concerning. I think when it's that close, and like if you're watching something and it reminds you of that person and the disgusting things they've done, you don't really want to associate with that.
Would you use sex as something actually quite good, you know, to say in songs, and people would not notice it? He would actually thinking, oh my god, yeah, it's just a song, but he'd actually, basically, he's actually giving everything on a plate, guys, this is what I do. Yeah. And these are the girls I like, but we just didn't obviously pick up. Obviously,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it still will be played, and I think it's so prolific. Yeah. You know, and you know, Ignition and songs like that, they're always going to be played. Whether we like to admit it or not, we'll probably be like, oh, that's bad, and then be like, hey. So it's like, it's really...
It's so hard, because it's one of those things, especially these big people that are so prominent in our lives and our upbringing and the things we used to watch and listen to when we were younger. It's so hard to disconnect that feeling of nostalgia that, like you said, if Ignition were to come on, like right now, we'd probably all be bobbing our heads, even though you don't want to, because it's just that association. But then do you think that you're almost supporting them by doing that, or
I think it's a difference. I think it's a difference between supporting them and supporting the music. I think a lot of people turn around and say, I don't support that person, Martin, but I support their music, and that's the end of it.
No, like go back to like the Kevin Hart thing, or the whole my favourite thing. Obviously, I'm a gay person. I don't take offence by it because comedian is comedy. That's all it is. Like Joan Rivers, she was the most offensive person in the comedy industry. And she was hated by so many people. Yeah, I found her hilarious. Probably because I take inspiration from her as my own character, my own persona. But it's comedy. Whether it includes, I think there's got to be like a limit that you don't want to cross. But I think it's comedy. Why take it? So why take it so like serious?
Are we aware of the Louis C.K. issue where he, you know who Louis C.K. is, the famous comedian, and he was seen to have been, not forcefully, but you know, unwantingly masturbating in front of women. And he sort of took a year off and then surprisingly came back and did a show. I think it was in New York. And there was a massive uproar, like, you can't do this. But the thing is, he didn't put out a statement or anything, no apology or anything. He just totally went blank for a year and then came back and did this show. And unbeknownst to the audience as well, because it was like a comedy night and he was there. And it caused quite a ruckus. I feel like Louis C.K. weirdly, you know, it's very bad, but he's almost like in the middle between Kevin Spacey and the Rkelly and the Louis C.K. Because what are your thoughts on...
We'll say that. Would you watch a Kevin Spacey film, do you think, now? after having heard that, because I think there's different levels as well. There's the Rkellys and the Kevin Spaceys, and then there's people that tweets have been dug up, like you said, that's more subjective, and it's harder because people will hear something and straight away be angry, straight away boycott it without knowing any of the facts, and you need to give it time to fizzle away, and then people make their own decision on whether they were willing to support that and whether things were taken out of context. But when it's on the other side of them actually being prosecuted for doing awful things, then it's a bit different.
Because people are seemingly being more forgiving to Louis because it was sort of like a
legend and people have known him for years.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it was sort of like there's still sort of a distance between, obviously, it's completely unthinkable and strange to think of, you know, walking into a room and this person masturbating in front of you. It's crazy, but people are almost separating that between like Rkelly and obviously Louis being different types of sexual deviance, if you will. And do you think that separation is necessary, or do you think they're both just as creepy, or what do you think?
They're both just as creepy.
You think? You think they should both get the same sort of punishment in the public eye?
Because to me, in terms of how the media perceives certain artists or certain public figures, then it should, in that respect, they should sort of get the same punishments. You know, because Kevin Spacey is American, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's different in America with media in terms of when you're a black male to a Caucasian male. It's different how it's how stuff are run. Don't know if you know about it, guys. I don't know if you hear about it, but it's completely different. So I can get much more stick and much more backlash to what he's done than Kevin Spacey, for example, being a predominantly white Caucasian male. You know, it's fine, slap on the wrist. Judge gives him like.
He has had a lot though, because you know all of his series have been dropped and.
Yeah, I know, but it's stuff like that. But it'll be stuff
whereas
like that.
R. Kelly's songs will still be played. Kevin Spacey's
played, but he will still get backlash. Everyone will still remember him from being that creep. Like,
do you know what I think people deserve to still have their like legacy kept on? So like Kevin Spacey, I don't like him personally, but I think he's a really good actor. Yeah. And like look like Judy Garland and Marilyn Monroe, they both had really bad drug past, yet they're still icons. So you kind of, it's a little bit different when you look at, because they did this, it's like self-medication, but this is how you perceive it as well.
Because obviously Spacey groped a young male, I believe, in a bar, which is different to having your own sort of drug addiction. It's you know, when other people are involved and it becomes like a harassment, it becomes
the whole
more
scandal,
difficult.
Marilyn Monroe with JFK and everything, that caused a massive thing in America. So it's involving more than, you know, a massive, like, you know, politics, everything. But yet her legacy is still, you know, kept on to this day, and it's been God knows how many years, but yet no one thinks of, they still think of, oh, you know, she had an affair in this or that and whatever, but they still overlook it.
It's more prolific in this day and age with different types of media. It's much more like brought to the forefront, as it should be, I think.
You know, I think everyone does, you know, if there's something that's done wrong, they need to then be, you know, put out there to do it. But then I think, have they got like troubled? Are they troubled mentally and everything? Is there other factors that we don't know about that's caused them to do these sort of things? Like, and it's not like a scapegoat for anyone to go and do what they've done or anything, but I think it'd be nice to get like an idea of how they were actually kind of brought up and everything, and how get a better understanding of them as opposed to just what you see from what one person thinks of them. Because you're going to get media going to pinpoint one single thing, but not mention, oh, you know, Kevin Spacey had an abusive father or whatever, or he got interfered with, he was younger or something. Like, but you don't get the full aspect of it, and I think you should kind of know every factor of it before you make a judgment and kind of put it out there. But then not everyone's minded the same. So
I feel like I feel like all these R. Kellys, Kevin Spacey, anyone that's done up something like really bad. We should just look upon what they went through, as what you just said, during their childhood and stuff like that, and continue to like still support their work, but not them. Really.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Like, kind of admit they've done wrong, that's happened, but support what they're doing, like the talent they've got, as opposed to what they've actually done. Because I don't like Kevin Spacey, I don't watch his films, but he's a good actor. But I like R. Kelly. I still listen to his music, regardless of what's happened, because that hasn't affected me and that hasn't affected anybody else. So. Sure.
I don't know, because of the extent of R. Kelly's alleged claims that have been put against him. I don't know if, say, like he releases a new song, I don't know if I would be inclined to be like, right, I'm going to go and listen to that, because I'm a little bit, you know, just considering the baggage that comes with it. I know it's to do with the music, and obviously being a musician, I would love to listen to it just for the music. But thinking about just having that inner thought in my head, it feels wrong. The old songs, even though, you know, the subject matter includes some of the instances, they almost go by the wayside a bit more because that's like nostalgia, as we say, that's the history. But then if he was to come out and be like, guys, this is my new big hit, I'd be like, let's sort that out first.
I think that's how I feel. Like, I think it's hard to expect people to break old habits and break things that, like, stop people from watching and listening to things they've known their whole lives and grown up with and have maybe a connection with, like, emotionally from growing up and things. But exactly the same that you said, I think it would be that, like, okay, Ignition comes on in a club without even thinking because I'm just so used to that song. Yeah, I'm probably going to dance to it. But if you brought out a new track, I'm probably not going to bother with it. And the same, like, yeah, it's hard because especially, like, when you think of someone like Kevin Spacey, like, there are certain people were talking about him actually doing these acts on film sets or sexually harassing people whilst they were on set. So, for example, although I might dance to Ignition, now when I listen to Bump and Grind, it actually does make me feel a bit sick because it's so closely related to what happened. And the same with, like, Kevin Spacey. If I watched a film of his that I heard someone had, you know, put an allegation forward whilst they were on that set, I don't think I could watch it because that's all I would be able to think about. But then it's hard because the ones that are less prominent, I think it's so ingrained in us to just enjoy the creative things around us and watch films and watch music, and it does make us feel good. It's hard to switch that off.
One thing I think that is needed is just time. Like, not just time for the public to sort of assess, but time for sort of going off what you were saying in terms of them having their own inner battles, giving those people time to reevaluate themselves and sort of reconsider what they've been doing, what's been going on. You know, that's why I think, you know, with Louis CK, where he comes back after a year, you know, give it. You're fine for money. You're fine for money. Have a gap. You know, give it 5 years or something. Have a large time where you can reevaluate yourself and reconsider the choices you've made. Maybe, you know, consider doing something about it, and, you know, whether that be an apology or some active work against it or something. You know, just reconsider and reevaluate. And I think in all those cases, it then gives the public time as well as your own.